Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Only Land Fan Show. My name is Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is Jonathan Duong. Originally from Worcester, Massachusetts, Jonathan Duong has been wholesaling vacant lots in Florida for the past 4 years. His primary focus is on infill lots and working with new home builders that build single-family homes. He has assembled a team and implemented systems that enable him to achieve six-figure months, and he is continuously learning and seeking ways to scale his business. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing good. That was a beautiful intro, man. I appreciate it.
We are so excited to have you on. You're making quite the noise, making some waves in the land space, and so it's exciting to see your growth and see what's going on with you. So let's jump right in. How did you get started in doing land deals?
So it's been a journey. It's been about three going on 4 years now. I was working a job doing timeshare resales. I started just reading different books and surrounding myself with different people. And of course, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, as we all do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I went down it. I came across wholesaling. I watched a couple of videos on it, and I got started probably the beginning of 2020. Now that whole year, there was things going on with the economy, as we all know. I decided to do wholesaling that year, but that year of 2020, I've only closed one deal and I made 3,000. So that whole year, that's all I brought in. But then as
Right.
we continued, we started to learn what works, what doesn't work, trial and error, different marketing. And then as the years went by, we start to put the systems and teams into places, and then we were able to find a little rhythm to work off of.
Yeah, I love it. So even though it's a $3,000 deal, your first deal is the most important, right?
Brother, absolutely. That proof of concept here. So a little backstory on this, right? I sent out mailers and I got somebody to respond, and it was somebody that owned three lots, right? So I got those under contract and I needed help finding a buyer. So I posted on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody reached out to me and they had buyers. So we ended up JVing things. It wasn't as smooth. We had to send some addendums to extend the contracts. But once we closed those deals, I made $1,000 per each lot, and the Dispo company, they made 3,500 off of each lot. So
Wow.
yeah, so they made off. But like I said, when we come back to this conversation, it was deeper than the money. It was the proof of concept that kind of just turned the wheels, and then from there on, I was like, this is real. So let's do
Yeah.
some. Yep.
Let's do it. Let's do it. The thing that I love so much about that, and a lot of people get hung up on when they're doing some of their first deals, they're like, oh, I don't want to give so much of my deal away. But at the end of the day, the way that I look at it is you got paid $1,000 per lot to learn how to do this business, and now you're scaling the business, right? So it's not just about the money, especially when you're getting started. You're building your skill set, you're building your team and your network.
No, I love that, and I agree 100%. Every time people post their deals and stuff, people talk about the amount, but I try to tell everybody it doesn't matter if it's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. We're after the knowledge that we attain after each deal. There's always loopholes that we're learning. So even though we're closing deals, there's always a new objection that we must overcome. So we're after the knowledge for the next deal.
Absolutely. You mentioned that there were some addendums, some things that didn't go quite the right way in some of those first deals. And I have a student who, same thing, his very first deal, he made 16K on it, but it was problem after problem. And we had a conversation. He was like, man, why is it always this hard? And the thing that I love about that, I was actually very grateful that his first deal had so many issues because when you come to just expect, hey, we're getting paid to solve problems. So if you just embrace that and don't expect it to be easy, like everything else after that is easy,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Absolutely. That's 100%. It's like you get to go through all the hard stuff in the beginning, because if somebody closes their deal easily, let's say the first deal is just smooth, when they do get hit with those objections, they're gonna be like, but we got that in the beginning. We know that this is part of the journey. So
exactly right. Exactly right. And it never gets easier. You only just get better, right?
100%, brother.
I
100%.
love it. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about how you learn. So you talked about YouTube University, you talked about there's tons of great information out there, but did you have a mentor or a coach when you were looking to scale your business?
So when I first got started, I did join a course that taught me how to send out mailers and price mailers. There were one-page blind offers that I was doing marketing. And then from there on, I just did trial and error, just watching what other people were doing on their journeys and stuff. Now looking back, I definitely would have loved to learn from a mentor that can actually cut my mistakes in half and just make the journey easier. But I took the tougher way. There's people doing what we're doing in half the time because they have us there to help them out throughout the process. So I encourage everybody to get around the right people with the right mindsets, and they could definitely shorten your learning curve.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really great way to put it. I think that a lot of people who have never done mentoring or done coaching, they look at that as I can get the information somewhere else for free. And you absolutely can. There's nothing new under the sun. You can definitely get it. But you nailed it when you said that when you leverage someone else, it cuts your mistakes in half. It can cut down tremendously on the mistakes that you're making. And so, like when I first got started in real estate, I was wholesaling houses. And it took me like 3 years to do my very first wholesale house deal because I'm like an overthinker, analytical. I want to know all the different parts and pieces. And I did that very first deal. It took me forever. I signed up and got a coach. And then I did 6 deals in that very first month. And so it's just evidence of like how that can skyrocket your success.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to invest in yourself. And I think about it to myself. If I would, number wise, we could put it however you want to, but how much would you pay somebody to teach you a skill that would substantially boost your income monthly? For example, if and putting in number wise, I would pay $10,000 to somebody for them to teach me to make $10,000 a month, right? It doesn't
Yes,
matter. You
absolutely.
can put the numbers however you want to, but if you invest in somebody and you yourself understand that you're gonna do anything to get these deals done and you're gonna be consistent, then how can you not be successful? The proof is in the pudding. It's not like we're teaching you guys something we're not doing right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I love that. I love that so much because there's so much power. And I can talk about mentors and coaches forever. So I won't belabor the point. But the last thing I'll say about it is that I'm in a few different masterminds with multi-million dollar real estate investors. And even at that level, some of them are making 7 figures a month. They
Right.
still have coaches at that level to get them to the next step. And so it's so important.
Absolutely. I was telling my good friends before, it's like when you first start this journey, you start to feel alone because the people that you used to hang out with, they're not on the same mindset. So you feel like an outcast. Now, when you start doing this journey, you start to hit goals and stuff. So, for example, my first 6 figure month was amazing and I'm blessed and I'm grateful for sure. But then, as you said, there's somebody that's making 7 figures a month. Oh, Jonathan, that's cute. You
That's
could do
cute.
more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. Yeah,
So
getting around those people will help you to stretch. Definitely.
absolutely
Definitely.
get uncomfortable and then just understand that there's always room for growth. Don't ever feel like there's nothing else to learn and don't get comfortable.
Beautiful. I love it. So, talk to me about the types of deals you specialize in now. What types of land deals are you doing and how are you structuring those deals?
Absolutely. So basically, the land deals that I focus on now is basically infill lots, right? As he was mentioning before, house, vacant lot house. Basically, we're going into established neighborhoods where there's already homes built, and then sometimes there's just a lot in there. So we want to go ahead and target those lots. Now, when it comes to the process, what I do is reverse engineer, right? So from step one, we want to find a market. So we're going to do market research, see where the land is selling, see where the new construction is selling and where it's being built. So once you see that supply and demand and you see there's a lot of motion going on in this area, for example, you can go ahead and start building relationships. Now, everybody does different ways. I just speak from my experience. So I felt like it definitely was easier for me to find out the criteria of what I need to hunt for and then go ahead and connect the dots. So I would go reach out to realtors that sold lots, realtors that sold new construction homes, or just go ahead and find builders that are in these areas. And then I'll try to go ahead and build a relationship with them, get their criteria, what they're looking for, what they're not looking for, any deal breakers to stay away from. And then I'll go ahead and hunt via SMS. I send mailers, one-page blind offers, and postcards as well. But yeah, once you're able to find where the demand is, you can go ahead and start marketing and putting the pieces together.
Yeah, it's super smart, beginning with the end in mind. So you already have built-in buyers. You're not just fumbling around the dark to find something to put under contract and then hoping and praying you have a buyer. So very smart. I love that. We're going to get into a lot of nuts and bolts in just a minute, but I want to talk to you a little bit about Are you actually wholesaling all of your deals? Are you assigning? Are you double closing? What does that look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're wholesaling all of our deals. We're just assigning them. My kind of rule of thumb is people always worry about if the builder is going to worry about if the spread is too high. But I tell them their business is in the building. They don't worry about, as long as the price makes sense, then don't worry about that. So we go ahead. It doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 50,000. We're going to go ahead and assign it. And then once we build that relationship, they understand that we're putting in work on the back end. They're going to do their thing. And then we're all good to go from there.
Yeah, that's really good. It's different when you're selling to a builder that's
Mhm.
looking at it as a business decision and not a retail buyer who's looking to build a house. They might start stressing a little bit about a $50,000 assignment fee, but not a builder. If it makes sense for their numbers, it'll work.
Right, right.
So talk to me a little bit about what's your average net profit per deal that you're seeing right now?
So I would say in the last 6 months or so, the average net profit of the deals are around 25 to 30K.
Nice. Okay. And so how many deals a month are you averaging?
From 5 to 6 deals.
Excellent. And so what is so you are you getting 5 to 6 deals closed or getting 5 to 6 deals under contract? What's that figure like?
Yeah, when we talk about closings, these are closings that are from the month before. So if we
Right.
start marketing today, our follow-ups will start hitting in the months to follow. The deals that I'm referring to are follow-up deals that actually close. So now in this month, we got a couple contracts out. We got a couple that we need to assign, but we're looking at same numbers for the next month.
Excellent. Something that a lot of wholesalers talk about is their actual close rate, right? And I think that a lot of times we see some wholesalers that they'll get like 10 contracts a month. But what is the close rate on that? Are you actually closing all of them? Or so what is your close rate? How many are you putting under contract a month? And you mentioned that you're closing 5 to 6. So how many are you putting under contract a month?
Honestly, I don't like to get anything under contract if I know I can't sell it.
Sure.
So that's where the reverse engineering comes in. So if I get something under contract, it's because I already have somebody in mind. Or sometimes if I'm working with certain builders and we built that relationship, I'll pitch the lot to them before I get it under contract. Just because we've done business before, they'll say, "Hey Jay, I can pay 60,000, for example," and then I have it maybe for 42 or something. So then I connect the dots from there. So I don't like to get anything under contract. If it's like I like to have an end buyer in mind because I don't want to stress to find buyers when my whole business model is like reverse engineering. We already know who wants this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think that wholesalers get a bad rap a lot of the times because they do put a lot of stuff under contract and then just hope and pray that they can find a buyer. And then they have to go back and extend it 4 or 5 times, or they have to drop out of the contract, something like that. But what I love about your model is that you have the buyers in place already. So you're not having to back out of contracts. It's great. I love it.
No, yeah, 100%. I know everybody has their own journey, so we got to make some mistakes and stuff. But I do encourage people, depending on the niche of land you're in, you know what I mean, to definitely just have somebody in mind that you're gonna get pitched a lot to. You're not struggling to find a buyer or even canceling contracts. It does happen, but it would be nice if you had somebody in mind that can take a look at the lot and give you a price and let you know if it's good or bad and why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned that you've been doing this for 4 years now. The market has gone through quite some amount of change, right, in those 4 years. So let me ask, where do you see the market going now? And what are you doing in order to set yourself up to thrive in those market changes?
That's a great question. So from where I started to now, there's so many changes that happened. So there's lots that I was wholesaling a year ago for 80,000, but now builders are reaching out to me saying they're paying 130,000. So right now it seems like the market is picking up in certain areas, but we also got to understand it's the state as well. Like when anybody does the market research that to see where a house is, where people are moving to, where people are migrating, where land is selling, where new construction is going. Usually Florida, North Carolina, Texas, those are like the main areas where you see a lot of movement going on. But I personally feel like the market is gonna soften, but I try to tell everybody to always understand that while things are going on, don't worry too much about it. Just go ahead and handle what you can and focus on what you have the power to do, and then go ahead and adjust accordingly. But for me, we're just trying to ramp up the marketing and just continue to close these deals. And then we're also trying to get into different exit strategies, right? Because when we're wholesaling, we're getting in and out as soon as possible to go ahead and make our assignment fee. But I'm able to build these relationships with the smaller builders and sit down with them, and we have lunch and we're able to speak about it. And I'm trying to get into partnering with these builders instead of just flipping the lot to them. We have the skill of finding land at a great price off market at discounted lots. The fact that we're able maybe to build to rent or build to sell and stay in the deal a little longer to make more in the back end because we don't need the money like right away now. So I would just tell everybody to learn different exit strategies, get creative, and just understand that wholesaling is a great way to get in the business, but it's not the only way to do things.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love wholesaling. I think that it's a great tool to have in your tool belt. I think it can help to flush your business with cash, that much needed cash that you need to operate a business. But at the end of the day, it is transactional. You have to do a deal to get money. And when you stop doing the deals, you stop getting the money. And so if you're looking at the investor sort of trajectory journey, yes, we want to do transactions when we get started, but the name of the game is let's get some cash flow going, which is not wholesaling.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. That's what I was telling. I was like, 3 years, brother. 3 years I've been doing this. I own zero assets. That's my biggest mistake when I look back. I'm like, I should have kept that lot, or I should have tried to build on this lot. But you learn as you go, man. We get so caught up in, okay, we're doing this and that. And when finally got time to breathe, you're able to, okay, we good. We good on this side. Let's try to figure out different exit strategies and actually build our portfolio and actually have assets.
Yeah, that's really good. And you just touched on a point that I think is so important for a lot of people to wrap their minds around, especially when they're getting into this business, is getting a vision for what you want your future business to look like, right? And so what I mean by that is when we first get started, we want to just first get proof of concept. Does this work? Can I actually flip a lot? Can I get paid for it? And you're like, oh man, I just made 3 grand. I just made 20 grand. I just made 50 grand. And we have to then start thinking about, okay, what am I actually going to do with this money? Now I have to think like a business owner, right? Yeah, I paid all my credit cards, I bought all the toys, I did all the things. Now how am I going to grow beyond this? So I think that's a really great point. I'm glad to hear you
Bro,
talk about that.
I love that. I love that. I try to tell people before you even start wholesaling, at least try to tune up your financial education, right? Your financial intelligence, because you can make $100,000 a month, but if you're not doing anything with it and you have bad habits, you're just gonna spend it and you're still gonna be in the same circle, right? The same loop. But you have to have the financial intelligence to say, okay, once I get this is what I'm gonna do. If it's sitting there and you don't have the right financial intelligence, you're just gonna spend it, bro. You know what I mean?
Gone. It's going to be gone. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's really good. There's a book called Profit First that talks about like when every dollar that you make, a certain percentage of it should go to actually operating your business. A certain percent should go to saving, a certain percent should go to tax. And so it's really easy when you first get started. You're like, man, I just made 100K. I'm just gonna go buck wild, and just spend it all. But it's the same, that's the same reason why like we see a lot of lottery winners who like 2 years later they've lost everything in their worst situation because money doesn't fix the financial habit, right? It's the financial software that you're running that has to be in alignment with actual growth. Money doesn't really fix anything if the software is not right.
Absolutely. So that's the most important thing. Money is like the amplifier, but your habits are there. So yeah, you guys gotta just understand what you're gonna do before you get it, because if not, it's a lot of problems, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, you
You're
know?
right. You're so right. You're so
Yeah.
right. I love that. So let me ask, what would you say are the most important skills to have in the land industry?
Communication, and then also understanding that it's a marketing business. And also, it depends. You could go a couple ways with this. It depends what your outcome is, right? What you envision for your end result. So if you see this as just being a side hustle, that's what it's going to be to you, right? But if you see this as building a business and actually building a team, then you have to have the leadership qualities. But most importantly, you have to be a visionary and understand that this is a team sport And when you want to actually build, you need to have the right people around you, not even just in when it comes to wholesaling land, but even accountants or just a whole team of people that can get you to the next level. It's everybody's goals are different, but understand that this is a business of consistency, consistently marketing, consistently following up, consistently just doing market research, whatever it may be. So as long as you're consistently marketing and you're consistently following up, I'm pretty sure you're going to be successful in any endeavor that you pursue.
That's really good. Yeah, those two C's, those are big ones. Communication and consistency, man. Those are really good. So let's now drill down into some nuts and bolts, right? So how do you pick a target area to do land deals?
All right, all right. So we touched on it a little bit, but my straight process is right now, I'm doing it right now. So I'm gonna jump into Zillow and I'm gonna look at the lots sold in the last 30 days, right? And I'm in the Florida market. I've been in the Florida market for the last 3 years. I never wholesaled a house or wholesaled a lot outside of Florida. So I definitely want to, but yeah, this is just my market here. So I'll go ahead and I'll see where the lots are selling in the last 30 days. Why the last 30? Because Florida is so crazy, you're gonna get results. Even the last 7 days, you're gonna just see lots everywhere. We want to find the pockets of lots sold and zoom in there and see what we're looking at here, right? So once we do that, we want to go ahead and flip the filters to sold houses built in 2023 to see if there's new construction going on. Why? Because buyers or home builders are usually one of our exit strategies, or like our end buyers. So we want to see that there's building going on too for the infill lots. And once we do that, we're gonna go ahead and check on the all active lots to make sure it's just not bombarded with lots. We want to see a nice ratio between active lots and sold lots in the last 30 days, for example. And once we clarify that, okay, this is a decent market, for me personally too, I just like to add like lots sold in the last 30 days that are 50,000 and above. Why do I do this? Because I personally feel like the more higher the price point is for the lot, the more the assignment fee can be. For example, that's just how I think. It doesn't mean it's the truth, but it's hard to pull a $20,000 spread if the lots are selling for 25, right? So that's how I see these things. So I'll try to find a pocket where the lots are selling maybe 50K or above. There's new construction, and then I'll go ahead and zone in there and try to see if there's any buyers or builders that may be in that market.
Excellent. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, I'm scared of the Florida market, or I really want to try North Carolina, or I really want to try just whatever new market, what would be some indicators that like, yeah, that might be even a decent market to even just go to the Zillow process? Like, how do they know maybe I should even look there?
That's a good question. For me personally, you could get deeper into where people are moving to, where people are moving out of, if you want to get deep into the research. But usually it's this way in Florida, from my experience. But you can, when you do the Zillow filters, you're able to zoom out to see all the states. So when you're looking on Zillow, you can zoom all the way out and it'll show you each state, and then you can see all the sold lots recently. So you could just do it like that and see, okay, North Carolina got some lots sold in the last 30 days. Let me zoom in there or do it like that. So when it comes to factors of the economy, you can intertwine that with this as well. But I usually just jump on Zillow and just look at the lots sold wherever it may be.
Yeah, I love that so much. And the reason why I asked that question is because there is a tendency for a lot of people to get hung up on, I have to do all of this market research. I have to look at like the U-Haul rental statistics in a particular area. I have to do all this other stuff. And they'll spend 6 months just like researching a market before they send one piece of marketing out. And so what I love about this process is it doesn't have to be very complicated. It's not very complex, right? Just zoom in, start looking at a few of these factors, and then get going.
Yeah, that's that analysis paralysis. They say they're doing market research for 6 months, but how much market research can you really do? Like, oh, in
Exactly.
there, you see the lot selling, you need to start marketing. Forget everything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So moving on, how do you analyze deals when you are running your comps, making offers? What does that process look like of you actually crafting an offer to present to a seller?
That's a great question. So from our processes, we're going to get the builder's criteria first. So once you build these relationships with the builders, they're going to tell you, hey, Jay, we're paying $60,000 for a half an acre lot. And it just has to have utilities. We got to make sure there's no wetlands or tortoise burrows. Other than that, we're good to go. For example, in our business, our comps are what the builders are paying. Also, we can go ahead and check Zillow as well, because sometimes the builders may say they're paying 60, but we see lots selling for 75. So you might be able to find a higher buyer, but you can go ahead and cross-reference that. But now that we got an idea from what the builders are paying, we understand if we get it for 45, 50, 50, even 55, we're able to go ahead and make that spread in between. So you don't got to make it too complicated. Once you build that relationship, you ask them what they're looking for, you get their criteria. And then a question I also like to ask are, what are the lots you do not want? What are your deal breakers? They'll say nothing on main roads, no tortoise burrows. We don't want anything without utilities. So you understand, okay, this lot, when you're looking at it, there's no houses, there's probably no utilities over there. But of course, you can confirm that with the city. But you just want to keep it simple. 60K, infill lot, half an acre. We got one for 50, connect the dots. And then we just do it like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Keep it simple. And the fact that you have those built-in buyers in place, it solves the majority of your problems, right?
It does, it does. I remember when I didn't have the buyers, we were able to still sell the lots, but it just took a lot more effort. And then when it took more effort to go ahead and try to find these buyers and builders, then it took away from the marketing. But now when you build the business and everybody's playing a position, you're able to go ahead and overcome that. But still, we want to just make sure our buyers they're ready to go. They'll tell us and they're hungry. So for example, they'll reach out and say, hey, Jay, I need 50 lots, for example, in this market at this price. And we're like, okay, we'll go hunt. And if we can't get them all ourselves, we want to partner up. Hey guys, if you guys get any lots here, let's go ahead and connect the dots so we can all make some money.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And the thing that I like about infill lots too is it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it because if an infill lot, obviously by virtue of the type of property is, it's going to be in a neighborhood. That neighborhood is probably going to have utilities, right? It makes analyzing the deal a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, it's you just got to keep it simple. And then every market has a different obstacle to overcome. For example, in Florida, there's certain markets that have wetlands, but you won't know that until you start to check the wetlands mappers or speak with the realtors or speak with the builders. And they're like, no, Jay, this is wetlands. This is what to look out for. And then you start to understand, okay, and you get an eye for it. And then the next market might be endangered species and you start to get an eye for it. So you start to learn the market as you start to go ahead and hunt for deals.
Love that. I love that. Now, let's jump into marketing on the acquisition side. How you go about finding the deals. I think that's a huge question that everyone has. How do you find your deals? What marketing channels are you using?
All right. So the main two marketing channels for me is SMS and mailers. So one page blind offers right now. We go ahead and we send SMSs, and with our SMS system, it has workflows, for example. So we'll send a text, and if they don't respond in 3 hours, they'll get another text. And if they don't respond in 6 hours, they'll get another text. And if they don't respond, they'll get another text in 2 days until they respond. Then the workflow stops, right? So that workflow is how it works for the SMS side. For the mailers, we send the one-page blind offers. They're pretty straightforward. We make the offer. If they're interested, then they give us a call. Or if they got something to say because they're not interested, they'll give us a call. You know how it
Yeah,
is.
you'll get those calls too.
Absolutely. It's not all sweet. So we understand that. I do enjoy the mailers more. I feel like we get more quality leads in their inbound. It's not like we're just cold calling or cold texting somebody out of the blue. We send a letter. If you're interested, give us a call. So I do enjoy that process as well. But SMS has really been our bread and butter of getting a hold of a lot of people and building the rapport for the follow-up, because it's very rare that you text somebody or send them a mailer and they're ready to go. So understand that this is a follow-up, guys. Don't think you're gonna jump in here and just touch a lead and get a deal.
Yes, yes. So let's zoom in on that because we see so many people say, I sent my mailer and I didn't get a deal. Okay,
Yeah.
there's follow up, right? Like a good buddy of mine, Rooster Vance, he like every single week he posts on Facebook, money's in the follow up. This is a friendly reminder, money's in the follow up. And it's so true because we have to nurture these leads to get them to know and trust us. It's going to be, I can count on one hand the number of times I've sent a text message. They don't have any idea who I am, and they're like, yes, I want to sell my lot, send me a contract. So, can you talk about your follow-up process? What does that look like for both SMS as well as your blind offer letters?
Absolutely. So if we go ahead and send some text messages out and we get a response, we'll have different follow-ups. So we'll have a 15-day follow-up, for example, a 30 or a 45. And depending on their response, we'll put them in the according follow-up. So if it's a decent lead and they want a price and they're just a little bit over, but we can't make it work, we'll go ahead and put them at 15 day follow-up because we want to stay in front of them. If it's somebody that just says, hey, I'm not interested, we'll put them in the 30-day follow-up because things change. And if somebody that just says, hey, hit me up in a couple months or something, then we'll put them in a 45. Now when we do that, they go through another drip campaign. Hey, we spoke to you a couple weeks ago, just wanted to follow up, see if you're interested at this time. If not, no worries, just let us know. But this is my recommendation for others, right? When you're doing an SMS campaign, put your own number in it and see how you do. Because if you're blown, we're all human and we all get spam calls and we all get mailers, and you have to put yourself in the producer lens instead of the consumer lens. We see these letters, and now that I send my own letters, I'm like, this is a nice letter. It caught my eye. I want to do that. And when you put yourself in the SMS template, are you like texting too much to where if you did want to sell, you wouldn't even sell to this person because they're just blowing you up? So you got to have that balance to where you're touching them, but you're not like bombard. Hey, you still want to sell? Like you just got to be respectful of people's time, but you got to follow up and stay in front of them. So as the responses come and you start to get the experience, you're okay. This one, it seems like they do want to sell. And then you start to get the eye for it. But I have a 15, 30, and 40-day, 45-day follow-up where according to their response, I'll put them in that workflow. And then according to their response from there, I'll put them in another workflow. So until they tell me stop, I don't want to sell, they're always going to be in a workflow going
Yeah,
through it.
for sure.
Hey there, land fans. If you're enjoying this episode and would like to see more episodes like this, please be sure to let us know by liking and subscribing below.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that because it talks about the importance of the customer journey. And I think that's something that a lot of people, including myself, when I first started, it was all about the deal. It was about like getting the deal and the numbers and how does this all going to work. And I didn't realize that I actually have a set of customers. My sellers are customers. And so what are they experiencing when they interact with me? What is the brand? What types of feelings are they having when I'm talking with them? And so that goes into that cadence of making sure that you're not blowing up their phone, you're not being annoying or whatever it is. So, can you talk about what percentage of your deals are you getting from texts and what percentage of your deals are you getting from blind offers?
I would say 70% are from SMS, from text, and 30% are from mailers. Now, the bigger spreads from my experience are the mailers for some reason. I can't tell you why. Most of the deals come from SMS, but the more quality deals come from the mailers from my experience.
Makes total sense. How many blind offers are you sending out a month?
Honestly, I was looking at my numbers, bro. I was sending like 400 a month. That's it.
Wow,
That's
that's
it.
it.
I was sending 400 a month, and I'm looking back at my marketing expenses because I do send one page blind offers, but I also send postcards through Deal Machine. So I cross-reference it to see what was getting a better response and a better return. And when I did cross-reference it and I looked at my total amount spent for mailers and postcards, yeah, mailers blew my postcards out of the water. But now that I've seen that I was only sending this amount and getting a good conversion, yeah, I definitely sent more mailers this month, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 I love that. Really good. Yeah, that's the that whole like business owner mentality that you're talking about that in terms of tracking your metrics and tracking your KPIs, which levers to pull. If you didn't track your numbers, you wouldn't know like what's working better and what's cheaper and what is a better lead for you. So that's very cool. I love it.
yeah, absolutely. And we also do cold calling in our business, but we've been doing it for 6 months and we got zero deals. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
I mean, everybody has different marketing strategies that work for them, but it might be my fault. I got to take responsibility. Maybe I need to train the VA more. Maybe I have to go through a different script. So I'm always just understanding. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong here. So let me double down on what's working and let me cut back on what's not working.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely get that. Are you doing cold calling in-house? So you said you had a VA like on your team that's doing cold calling and stuff?
Yeah, I have a VA that's doing cold calling. We're using call tools, triple line dialer. So they're cold calling a couple hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. It might be the time frame, it might be the script, it might be how I train them. So I take responsibility for that. And I understand that sometimes the marketing channel doesn't work, but I see success in other marketing channels. So maybe I have to put more marketing dollars this way, double down and move the VA somewhere else. So you got to know when to switch people's positions and see where people's strong suits are so everybody could be successful.
For sure. Yeah, cold calling's a beast. It's not an easy thing to implement. That's why I work with lead mining pros. I do all of my cold calling through Nicholas Nick's company. And so if you're looking to cold call, figure out the cold call game, check that out because there's some really good stuff there. So let's chat about your actual acquisitions funnel. So you're doing outbound marketing with SMS. We talked a little bit about your follow-up. You're doing outbound marketing with blind offers. Are you driving everyone to a phone call? And then what does that look like?
So when we're touching these leads on SMS and we get somebody that's interested, we have different pipelines for each person, right? So if somebody responds, they'll go to first response. If somebody's a hot lead, they'll go to hot lead and they'll go through it till they're in the pipeline under contract until they're in the pipeline assigned. So every day we go on REI Reply, for example, is what we use. We'll go ahead and we'll look at the pipelines and we'll check where these leads are and who needs to be followed up with first. Therefore, we can always make sure we're staying in front of these people. If we needed to make an offer, they'll be in the make offer pipeline, whatever it might be. So everybody is in the pipeline that where the conversation left off. So we understand this is priority, the hot leads, this is priority, the follow-ups, and going from there. Now, from the mailers, when the mailers reach out, for some reason, recently people, I personally want to get people on the phone, right? When people text me back and they're interested, I'm like, if you have a time for a phone call, let's jump on a call and then we can further discuss. For some reason, people just want to keep it SMS for me. I don't know why, but they're like, no, I prefer texting. And as long as they are who they say they are, that's okay with me. But
Right.
I do like to build that connection and actually speak to the person, of course, to verify that they are the owner, because we dealt with that a couple times. But even with the mailers, I've been sending mailers out, and on the mailer is a one-page agreement, so they're able to just sign it and send it back. Recently, the couple of last deals we closed from mailers, no phone call, no text, just a signed offer back. So it's been really different. So we got to go ahead and adapt and adjust. But once we get a phone call, we put them into the follow-up, and we just want to stay in front of them same way. Send them another letter, send them another postcard, or go ahead and shoot them a text message.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're doing a lot of texting. So talk to me about your team and what does your team look like? Do you have how many texters do you have? How is that all structured?
Absolutely, brother. So we got a team of four. So that's it.
Excellent.
We got one VA that is just answering the text messages all day. That's what they do. And then another VA, which is the cold caller, that cold calls and also drives for dollars on Deal Machine and sends out postcards. So they're the marketing VAs, right? And then we have an acquisitions manager that also sends out the agreements and basically locks up the deal. So any hot leads gets passed to the acquisitions manager. They go ahead and confirm that everything looks good. They'll call the city if we need to verify everything. And once it's good to go, they'll get on the phone or send a text, send out the agreement. And then we like to put a sense of urgency behind our agreement. So we let them know, hey, the offer is good for 72 hours. Does that work for you? Or did you need more time? And we try to figure out where their motivation is or how soon they want to proceed. But once that's done, then they send it to me. I handle dispo. So I handle selling the deals. I handle building the relationships with the buyers and realtors and getting the deals.
Excellent. I love that. Is your acquisitions manager, is that person a VA as well?
No, it's
US based. Okay. So when you were a baby wholesaler doing your that first deal in 2020, and then now you've scaled to the up to this point, who was the first hire that you made on your team?
Man, that's a great question, bro. And it took me so long to make that first hire. Like I felt like I had to do everything by myself, just the wrong mentality. But my first hire was the VA to handle the text messages. Why? Because at that point, I stopped doing mailers because SMS was doing so well for me. And then I went all in there, and then I had the VA handling the SMS. So that was my first hire.
And can you talk about what were some of the challenges that you had when you brought that first person on and had to start working them into the fold, training them, managing them? It opens up a whole can of worms. So talk to us about that experience.
Oh man, it's a journey looking back now. It's tough, bro. It's tough, especially if you've been doing the business yourself for so long. And then I had this weird mentality just growing up. I just expect people to know things. I don't know. Like if somebody does something wrong, I'm like, you should just know better. But then I started to understand that we're all different and we all have different habits and stuff. So definitely takes a lot of patience. And then I started to learn after my first hire that I can just record their training videos and just keep them all there. So if we get a new hire, go through the training video. So as you go through different hires, then you're able to see how the process is and you try to just make it easier for yourself in case you have to do it again, in case you got to add teammates or whatever it may be. But it's the same thing with anything else, like the marketing. You go through the whole struggle and you're like, oh, I could have made this easier by doing this. And you're able to look back in a different lens and kind of fix it and streamline it. But it was tough, bro. It was tough getting everybody on board. A lot of training, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of don't do this, but at the end of the day, the VA that we work together, she's awesome. We almost been working, it's coming on a year now, and she's a essential part of my team, man. So I love it. I love it.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So, a good friend of mine, Alicia Jarrett, she has an incredibly accurate metaphor for when you bring people onto your team because you're still doing the business, right? So, you still have to do the business of real estate while you bring someone else on your team. It can be like building an airplane in the air. Like while you're flying, you're building. That's what it feels like for me. At least like when I first started bringing people on, it's, oh man, I still have to keep all my processes going and doing my marketing, and I have to train someone. Now I have two full-time jobs, right? What types of, you mentioned that you did some trainings and you record those trainings, absolutely fantastic. What types of meetings do you have or team meetings, cultural things that you do for your company culture to make sure that everyone is in sync and everyone is working well as a team together?
Yeah, for sure. I could do better on that for sure. We do meet maybe every 2 weeks or so, so it's not a weekly thing. We just go back to the drawing board and see how the business has been going, what we can do better, and how we can improve and how we can help each other grow. So if there's any way that I can be at service to them or anything that they feel like I can do better at, I'm all open ears and I take accountability if anything's going wrong. But when it comes to that, we try to just go ahead and just meet up every couple weeks and it's really just simple like that. We don't do anything other than that. But it got to a relationship based to where it's love. On birthdays, they're getting birthday gifts and things like that. It when you're working with somebody for so long and you guys are adding value to each other, that's the only way to do it.
I love that. I love that. So let's dig back into your process, your acquisitions process a little bit. So you're sent out some marketing, the texts start coming in, you negotiate over the text. Now let's say someone says, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. What's the next step? What does your team do?
All right, so if they're ready to go, what they're gonna do is they have a checklist that they have to go over depending on the market. So they're gonna look at it, they're gonna go ahead and they know what our builders are paying. If they got it under that, they're gonna go ahead and check the wetlands map if they know how to do that. They'll do the smaller stuff like that. But once they say, hey, this looks good, they'll send it to the acquisitions manager. Then they'll do the deeper due diligence to make sure we're not getting anything under contract that we can't move. Of course, this takes time to learn this. You might come across a couple lots and they had problems that you couldn't visually see, or it was out of nowhere. But once the numbers make sense and we understand the market and understand what to look for, we let them know, hey, just look out for this. Check the wetlands mapper. Go ahead and make sure when you're looking at the Google Street View that you don't see anything out of the ordinary. But for Florida, we're pretty blessed because there's no hills or nothing like that. It's just the endangered species, wetlands, Turdsborough, things like that. But you start to learn the market as you go. So they'll go ahead and qualify the lead. They'll send it to the acquisitions manager. They'll dig deeper. And once it's a go, they'll go ahead and lock it up and send the contract and then get it signed. And once they get it signed, they'll hand it off to me.
Very good. And it's in the contract digitally, DocuSign. How do you guys do that?
Yes, we usually send it through Panda Doc is basically a form of DocuSign. And then we'll go ahead and they'll electronically sign it, and then we'll go ahead and send it off to the title company.
Excellent. And you are handling all of your TC and dispo stuff?
The acquisitions manager, I do
Got it.
so they send out the contracts, they'll get it done, and then they'll send it out.
Really good. So you mentioned that you have two phases of due diligence. When you're qualifying the lead, you have one phase of due diligence. I'm assuming that's where they're just looking to see that lot, for all intents and purposes, matches the criteria that your builders are looking for. What does the second phase of due diligence look like? What is your acquisitions manager really doing in that second phase of due diligence?
Oh, honestly, they're just double checking. Our VAs got so well at doing the due diligence up front. Like we're in a market where wetlands is the problem. They understand checking the wetlands mapper and they understand like looking for these things. So honestly, the acquisitions manager job is easy. They just confirm these things because there's no deeper due diligence we have to do other than double check that the VA is doing that their due diligence makes sense and that it's good to go. And certain markets, it was a little more deeper where maybe utilities, there was houses being built, but not in this area, but the lots are already subdivided. So maybe they'll have to make the call to the planning and zoning department or the county to confirm utilities or things like that. But honestly, the certain markets have been pretty straightforward. And the builders are, when you work with them, they'll actually sit with you and be like, okay, this is what we're looking for. This is what you need to look out for. And we just go ahead and give that information to the VA, and they're pretty well at doing it. So the acquisition manager got an easy job right now, bro.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about like specializing in one market is because you get really good at finding those specific deals that match your buyer's criteria and it's just a process, right? It's input and output. You're not having to reinvent the wheel every single time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. So, can you talk about what are some of your favorite tools that you're using in your business right now? So, CRM, you mentioned CRM. Can you talk about what's your CRM? What are you using for texting? What are you using for your mail house?
Absolutely. So the tools that are essential to my business right now is RER Reply is what we use for SMS. PropStream is what we've been using to pull the data. Skip Matrix is what we've been using to skip trace the data. Then the free tools like I use every day, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Panda Doc to send out the contracts, Skype to keep track, to communicate with the VAs. For the mail house, I use ITI Direct Mail to send out the mailers. I have the one page offer that I send out, and then that's pretty much it. Honestly, when I got to break down everything that I use and my subscriptions, they're pretty minimal. Like we use things and we make sure that it's bringing a return. Like we don't just get subscriptions just cause.
Yeah, yeah. I like to run lean and mean too. So that's really good. Good
Sure.
stuff. All right. So, can you talk about what are some of the ways that you can go about building relationships with builders? It sounds like builders are a really big part of your business model. And so, how do you develop and nurture these relationships with builders?
Absolutely. So how you develop these relationships and nurture these relationships is providing value. When you go ahead and reach out to them, honestly, lately, a lot of people have been having problems with getting in touch with builders or builders not giving them the time of day because maybe there's so many people contacting these builders and they're not providing value, or I'm not sure what the case is. But once you get past that roadblock and you actually go ahead and you listen to what they're asking for and you provide them exactly what they're asking for, the relationship builds itself. They reach out to you, you reach out to them. Me personally, I started wholesaling to the bigger national builders out here in Florida. And then I started to lean toward wholesaling more to the mom and pop builders because I enjoy dispositions. I can hire a VA to do what I'm doing and then step out and focus on different ventures. But I enjoy building the relationships with the builders at this time. And the mom and pop builders were able to sit down and have lunch and just have a civil conversation and just get to know each other more. And then once you have that relationship, you start to get the edge to where it's like, hey, Jonathan, I know you've been bringing me lots here, but we're about to break into this market. If you could find anything there, let me know. And then you start to understand, okay, the only reason I got to this point is because we've been providing value to each other. I listen to what he's saying. I'm just not like, hey, what are you looking for? And then you bring him something and it's not what it is, right? Like you really have to just, it's the simple things. Calling them, sending people gifts, sending your title company gifts, sending sellers gifts. It's the little things like that go a long way. So as long as you're genuinely like trying to serve people without expecting anything in return, everything just happens the way it's supposed to.
That's really good. That's really good. It comes back to that customer experience. Like we have two sets of customers in this business. We have sellers that are our customers. We also have our buyers who are our customers. And also we have relationships with vendors. I think that's a brilliant thing. I totally subscribe to the whole giftology. Make people know that you value them, which is really good. So if someone's listening to this and they say, I need to find builders. How do we go about finding these mom and pop builders to start even developing these relationships?
Absolutely. So if you guys want to go the freeway, the best way to go is to go straight to Zillow, and then you're gonna go to the sold new construction homes in the last let's say 6 months that were built 2023, or if you want to go 2024, and then you're gonna see the realtors there. Now you can contact the realtor directly, or you can also pull that address and put it into a tool like PropStream to see what the builder's name is. Now, when you get the builder's name, you're going to reverse engineer. In Florida, we use something called SunBiz to where you're able to put the LLC and see who owns the LLC. So once you see who owns the LLC, you're going to skip trace them, introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Jonathan. I see you're buying lots in this city. I just wanted to see if you were looking for more lots. We do come across great opportunities sometimes, so I love to be at service. And they'll say, yeah, Jay, we're looking for a couple more lots. And you're like, okay, once I get something, I'll send it over to you. If you have an email, that'll be great. If you prefer me to call you, that's fine. Simple conversation. Like everybody asks me the scripts and stuff, and I used to be stuck on that too, but I'm just speaking to people now. I'm just like, you're building, I can find you land, we can work together. If not, that's cool too. It is what it is, but I see you're building here and I'd love to bring you some opportunities. And if that's okay, then we can work together.
I love that. So good. What, in your opinion, is something that no one or not enough people are talking about in the land industry that we should be talking about right now?
Oh man, that's a good question, bro. So I would say just the different exit strategies. And for me, like all I know is Infill lot. So when I see people like you and other people in the land business doing different things and the different opportunities, I'm just like, so I would just tell people to have different tools in your toolbox, to have different exit strategies, to understand that's not the only way to do things. The way I do things isn't the only way I do things, just like the same for you and anybody else. Some people target infill lots, some people do well with acreage, some people do land entitlements, some people are partnering with builders to build to rent. There's so many different ways. That's why I love land. I think that's why I was so intrigued in it. I'm like, from this, everything we see around us came from this. There's just so many different exit strategies, and everybody gets caught up in wholesaling, and that's amazing. Do what you want to do, and it works. But understand that there's so many different exit strategies, and you can get creative with things. It's just endless opportunities, bro. It's
You are
bro.
Yeah,
It,
you are so right about that. You are so right about that. One of the things that I love about the land industry as well is how many different things you can do with it. It's like a clean slate. And I've been able to talk to so many different people and see what their approach is. And I interviewed people that flip cemeteries or flip islands. Like it's just crazy what you can do in the land space, right? It's insane. It's insane. So I'm right there with you. It's very cool stuff. What do you consider to be the biggest challenge in the land business?
just to be consistent. And the results that we got, the only difference between anybody else and us is we were consistent in what we were doing, right? Anybody that comes in, the people that think they're going to close the deal, the first touch is not like that. And if you do, congratulations. But this consistency is what needs to be done to be successful in anything you do. I don't care if you're doing taekwondo or you playing basketball. Like some people are truly blessed, but you don't understand you're blessed until you put in the work and see that, right? So it starts with the consistency and putting in the work daily and not getting distracted about the things around you. Stop focusing on what other people are doing and focus on your venture and go ahead and lock in and just be consistent and the results will come. I just say, just don't worry about what's going on and understand that everybody's journey is different. And as long as you're grateful and you're enjoying the process during the whole journey, then everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Especially, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk a whole lot about is that, yes, we talk about consistency, but that's not just like an action taking thing. That's a mindset thing. You have to be okay and have expectations aligned that you might not see something happen for a month or two. It doesn't mean you should be stopping those things. It just means keep going. Don't dig up those seeds that you planted. Keep watering those seeds through consistent action.
No, 100%. So as long as you do
Really,
that, you're successful. So yeah.
really good stuff. I love it. So let's talk about, what do you consider to be your superpower?
Honestly, faith. I'm a big, I believe in God, and I believe that what's for me is for me. And I understand that I just have faith in everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. And understanding that you start to have faith during the times when things aren't going your way, right? When everything is great, yeah, you're gonna smile. Even a baby smiles when it has its bottle, but when things aren't going your way, who are you really? And when you have faith, you just understand that it's just an opportunity to build your endurance. It's an opportunity to overcome, just like the first land deal where all these things are going on. As long as you got faith, you keep God first and you just focus, everything's gonna be fine. And if you truly believe that, what can happen?
That's right. I love it. So good. What's your definition of success?
Being at service. Being at service and helping others and seeing others win. Because, it's me, I'm not even at the point where things are crazy. I'm truly blessed, but um, you just got to be at service because we don't understand or we don't know what tomorrow holds. So what did you do today? Did you give it your all today? Because who knows if you're gonna wake up tomorrow. And if you can say, if you before you go to bed, if you could say, I did everything I can, I helped everybody I could, and I truly had pure intentions when I was doing everything, then that's success to me.
I love that. It's beautiful. So good. So, are there any like influencers, authors, business owners, entrepreneurs that you like to follow and read about?
Yes, Robert Kiyosaki was the first book I read that kind of changed my mindset. All those books, and there's just a lot of people on YouTube that put out great content. I like Jerry Norton. He's the one that I watched his first flipping lots video, and that kind of triggered everything in 2020. But to circle back, man, for me, it's just Bible. It's just this God for me.
I love that. I love that. So, what's one of the biggest surprises you've had so far in your land career?
Man, it's just what is possible. Like the things that I've accomplished, I never thought it was possible from where I was a couple of years ago. The people that I met and the lessons that I've learned, I truly, people used to always say building relationships and is who you know, and I'm starting to see that now. Like I'm starting to put myself out there and let people know what I do, and I'm able to come across people like great people like you and other people that are doing amazing things in their field, and I'm able to build these relationships and I'm able to understand. I just start seeing everything from a different perspective because I speak to people and they're like, you're doing great, but there's so much more. And I like people that encourage me to grow, not the people that you're doing great, you don't have to do no more. No, what are we doing next? Let's do the most of what the
Yeah.
time is blessed with. So it's been a blessing to just meet the people on this journey. And of course, it's a blessing to be able to close these deals, and it's a blessing to be able to work from anywhere as long as I got a laptop. That was the curation of the business from the beginning. So that's a blessing as well. But even the deals that fall through are a blessing because I learned something from each one.
That's it. So good. So good. If you could go back and tell yourself three pieces of advice when you first got started in the land industry, what would they be?
Number one is stay consistent in what you're doing and stop chasing everything else that looks good because it's not as good as it looks. So a lot of it is entertainment based and it's not real, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is to understand that this can't be rushed. Like I had that mentality, is like, damn, I'm doing all this marketing 3, 4, 5, 6 months and I'm not getting none. And you're not supposed to. That's not how this works. To understand that it's a follow-up business. And then three is just to stay down in everything you're doing, right? Just to have faith and just to be consistent in everything. So once you're able to do that, man, everything's gonna follow through. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. What's your biggest passion or goal you'd like to achieve at this point in your life?
Man, I'm just trying to see how else I could be at service, bro. I try to do what I can, but I always feel like it's not enough. So I'm just trying to see. and have the eyes to see the opportunities in front of me to where I can help others and to change other people's lives, just like my life has changed. The things that I'm doing, I'm truly grateful, and it's different for everybody. Some people, there's people that drive like $500,000 cars around like it's nothing, but there's people that will never make a $500,000 in their life, for example. So just the perspective and everything like that, it's a blessing, bro.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I want to thank you so much for giving to us today. You've been so generous with your knowledge, with your experience. So, how can we help you? How can we give back to you? What types of connections or resources that you're looking for currently?
I'm definitely trying to get into different exit strategies, brother. So I feel like I'm doing well with Infill lots. I definitely am interested in doing land entitlement deals. I'm definitely interested in partnering with builders that may be in my markets, and start building a portfolio, bro. Because like you said, if I stop working, the money stop coming, and I need to change that, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So if someone has an entitlement deal that they would like to partner with you on or something like that, how can they reach out to you? How can they find you?
Absolutely, bro. So on Instagram, it's at J, the letter J, wholesome. Then I also have the Facebook group. It's called High Value Land Group, where we go ahead and we brainstorm, we pass value on to each other. And then on the YouTube channel is High Value Conversations, where we try to have high value conversations to just keep each other sharp. Because like you're saying, there might be changes coming to the markets. As long as we're bouncing information off each other, we'll be able to pivot when necessary.
Absolutely. I love it. Community is so important. I want to thank you again, Jonathan. This has been absolutely fantastic. You've given us so much value. Thank you guys for joining us, asking fantastic questions. Let's continue the conversation on the Only Land Fans Facebook group. Please make sure that you join and continue those great conversations here so we can answer all of those questions. Also, check out Jonathan's Facebook group, High Value Conversations, and his YouTube channel, High Value Conversations as well. So everyone, so happy to meet everyone. Thank you for joining us. Would love to connect with you as well. And let's do some deals together. Let's go get it done. So thank you guys so much. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. If you're interested in hearing from other 6- and 7-figure land flippers about how they've built and run their businesses, then check out my group, Only Land Fans, where I do a live interview each week inside the group. You can grab that link at the description below. Until then, be great, have a great week, and catch you in the next one.